Hi, my name's Alyssa, and I did my research for the articles on the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program. I read two different articles. One was by the Star Tribune, and then the other one is from CNN. The Star Tribune was about before they had decided like if they were getting rid of the program completely or if they were just cutting the funding. The second article was CNN after they had cut the funding of the program and decided not to cut it completely, and how it affected people in like the Midwest area when it got like cold in the winter. The first article, when it was addressing like how it would affect people when the program was cut. Well, Trump said that there was too many people abusing the system, and that's why we didn't need as much money into it. But if you look at the book, it tells you that the funding is determined by poverty guidelines. So everybody has to submit into the guidelines and see if they even apply for it. So that was Trump's view on the whole situation. And citizens were stating how, like, if they cut the program, they couldn't even have housing, and how they wouldn't be able to survive because they couldn't heat their homes and stuff. So they wouldn't be able to afford the housing they're living in, especially for older people who don't work and they're living on those government basis. They can't like handle it. And then the CNN article, it states about how like people were coming up with problems, how they didn't have enough funding to like afford their bills when the weather got really cold because they had to heat their homes more. So how it affected them when they cut the money anyway, and how they were still going to spend the money somehow, and it could have just went to them, and now they're losing their homes and they can't like live to what they needed to live by. So that caused like a big problem with everybody. So my discussion was how it has affected so many people by cutting the funding, and like why, and just not bring the funding back at this point. Because the low-income home energy assistance is just giving money to people who are living in poverty, and they need the money to pay bills such as the energy, your heating, like your AC, stuff like that. And like the bigger issue was like cutting the program completely. Like in the Star Tribune, like they're talking about how Trump just wanted to cut this program. Well, it was affecting so many people. Like over 1,000 citizens just in Minnesota were going to be affected by cutting this program, and then they couldn't like afford bills. And like that's something you can't just like get rid of. Like it's not something that you can change. Like eating out, like you can change eating out so much, but like you can't change like how like you're living. Like you have to like turn on the heat and stuff. Like you can't just live in the cold and stuff like that. So I think like the bigger part of the Star Tribune article was that it was affecting way too many people. Like, so they had all this debating about like why would Trump want to cut this program, and like it was just all this stuff like that. And then the CNN article is now after they had just cut the money, because Democrats were okay with the money we were at. And then Trump wanted to cut the whole program because he believed there was too many people abusing the system. So we were just giving free money to people who really didn't even need it. And then Congress decided that we should just cut some of the money. Like, let's just take the cut of the money and we'll put it to something else. And then citizens, their opinion on it is that like people who actually need it are like not gonna be able to survive like they were. Like they're already literally at ends meet like at this point. So I thought that like cutting the program in general was just like it wasn't gonna fix it. Like, so I didn't agree like with the first article. Like it seemed very controversial to me, because it just seemed like his only like he had like made points about, oh well, we'll just put it to another program, but like at the same time like it's needed already. So I think that was like a big thing. Like this program's already needed, like don't cut its funding. And I think people like really relied on this money. So like anyone who was living in poverty that were relying on that money, like it was really very impactful on their life. So like my findings on it were just like it was affecting more people than I thought. And I get where Trump was like trying to put the money to something else, but like also them like not getting that money to them, it was affecting their lives way more. So I found a lot of information on that and how like so many people were going to be affected, like over 100,000 people just in Minnesota. Like that's only one state. So like even if you multiply that by 50, that's literally 5 million people. If you do literally 100,000 people for each state, which clearly you're not going to have that many people in every single state, but it probably adds up. That's a lot of people that are going to be affected by it, like just in general. And I'm sure there's not that many people, but like not as many, not 5 million, but there's probably a good amount where they are still relying on this program. So I think that was like the big thing that was really addressed, even just in both articles. Like both had different views because it was already when the cut was implemented and when they were just deciding if they should cut the program. So yeah, that was all my findings on the low income home energy assistance program.